Welcome to the Ignite and Inspire podcast, a podcast dedicated to sparking inspiration in everyday life. If you're here for the first time, welcome. This is your home for inspiration. Finding inspiration is something that you have to be intentional about because otherwise you'll be stuck in the rat race. And a lot of us, whether we believe it or not, notice or not, use creativity in everything that we do, no matter the role, position, no matter if you think you're creative or not. You need to be inspired in order to move differently, have different conversations, spark different ideas. So this is your home to inspire or fuel more enriching relationships, inspire personal and professional growth, just inspire you to do. So thank you so much for tuning in. And from today's episode, I want to inspire you to go ahead and get ready for 2025. 2025 is a year of action. At least it is for me. And so I want to, or let me take a step back. A lot of you all, oh my gosh, so many people loved the 2023 year prep episode that I did in gearing up for 2024. And what I'm doing this year to prep for the next year is a little different than what I did before. The goal is to continue to refine my planning process, my ideation process, to make myself the best me that I can be. So I wanted to, thank you so much for pouring into the show and for loving that episode. And I hope you all appreciate and like this one as well. But if you don't, let me know. You do not have to sugarcoat. You don't have to be nice. I appreciate you being nice, but share your thoughts and your feedback. And yeah, let's hop into the housekeeping items so that we can go ahead and get into the nuts, bolts, meat, and potatoes of this episode. Welcome back to Ignite and Inspire, a podcast that provides valuable information to ignite your passions, overcome challenges, and lead more fulfilling and impactful lives. I'm your host, Summer Van, and before we get into today's episode, I want to go over a few housekeeping items. First, go ahead and subscribe to the show so you can stay up to date on future episode drops. Next, don't forget to leave a rating and review. You can scroll down and leave a star rating between 1 and 5 stars. You can also leave a comment to let me know what you've captured from today's episode. Lastly, you can find any additional resources or key takeaways in the show notes below. Sparking inspiration is something that you have to be intentional about, so give yourself props for tuning in and capturing a bit of inspo. Friends, bear with me because so I'm batch creating. If you don't know, I am now in school, and so I'm trying to do this thing where I prepare episodes in advance so that when I get into the thick of the semester, I have episodes on cue. So, there aren't any dead moments for the show. In 2024, there were a lot of moments where I just kind of had to take a little beat, which is okay, which is fine. But I hated that I didn't have episodes queued up so that I'm not messing up you all's routine. I know some of you all listen to the show as part of your weekly routine. So I deeply apologize for interfering with that. But 2025, we're trying to be better. And one way in which we do that is by batch creating. So yes, I am wearing this lovely sweater. By the way, check out my dear friends at Beloved who create amazing, very quality pieces. I'll be sure to include their name on the YouTube if you're watching, but also in the show notes so that you can stay up to date when they have new drops. When I tell you their pieces are quality. Definitely one of my favorite sweaters, and this isn't sponsored or anything. I'm just a fan. So, getting back on track, 2023, as y'all know, was a year of questions for me. 2023 was a hard year. I was in New York. I was stressed. I was still adjusting. I was trying to figure things out. Um, Work was chaotic. My personal life was chaotic. Health was chaotic. Mental was chaotic. And it was just a year of questions. And I'm grateful because I found Epiphany Brooklyn, which is based in Fort Greene. If you're in the New York area, a lot of you all are in the New York area, so you may know. But love, love, love Epiphany. And they are now, I'm gonna say this: manage your expectations. Epiphany is a church where if you are truly just looking to come and get the word, that is where you go. Epiphany is going to give you the word, especially if you're younger, in a way that is relevant to you, that's digestible. And if you're Black or a person of color, it's nice to just like be around young Black people celebrating, worshiping, praying, hurting together sometimes, and doing it all within uh, the body of Christ and in the house of the Lord. It is not a traditional church by any means, but that is their goal. They aim to be a space where you can unapologetically celebrate your faith and be one with God, which is what I need spiritually right now, and in this season of my life. So if you're not there and if you don't love a more non-denom, untraditional environment, Epiph may not be your vibe, and that's okay. But I love Epiphany. And actually at the top of 2024, a lot of people don't know, but I got baptized or rebaptized, should I say. And being baptized was something that I wanted to do. I'd been wanting to do since I graduated high school. But for whatever reason, it just didn't feel right. So it was something that was already on the top of my mind. Um, but after 2023 and really growing and developing my relationship with Christ, um, there was the top of 2024, Pastor Brandon Watts, he's the lead elder at Epiphany. He led a series on identity. And when I tell you it was everything that I needed and more, my goodness, it really just set the groundwork for 2024. And I went ahead and got baptized. I didn't tell anyone. Honestly, I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my friends. It was something that I felt strongly about doing for myself, especially because um, one of my spiritual battles was growing up in a church that at times felt like Greenleaf. At times it felt like a production and less about spiritual fulfillment. And that's not to say that there were people in the church that really that weren't in the church. This is confusing. There were so many people at my home church in Atlanta that touched me spiritually, and I'm so grateful to my parents for planting the seed of Christ and of spirituality in me, and for those people at church, at my home church, who fostered it. But as an organization and as a um, corporate space, I didn't love all of their practices, and it kind of left a stain on me spiritually. So I spent college and post grad re-exploring my relationship with Christ, and um, so it was big for me to it was something I really wanted to do. I wanted to get rebaptized, and depending on your denomination, you may have different views on baptism itself. I see baptism and believe baptism to be a spiritual cleansing. Some, for example, believe that you need to be baptized in order to be a member of a church. I don't believe that. I don't, at least spiritually, biblically, I haven't seen in the Bible where that was the case. However, I do see the nuances in being a member of a church, being Christian, and then having spiritual cleansing. And that's one of the explorations that I did. And it's one decision that drove my desire to join Epiphany, but also to be baptized and to do it in the way that I did. So, top of 2024, I got baptized and screaming. Hopefully, I'm not like ruining your ears, but it was just such a beautiful experience. And I think one thing that I really loved and appreciated was even though I didn't tell anyone that I was getting rebaptized. Um, God made sure my community was in the room. He had my freshman besties, Hagen, Micah, and even my freshman besties, my freshman roommate's mom in the room, my line sisters in the room, some of my coworkers in the room. And I didn't know it until like afterwards, of course. But not only that, I was a part of Define New York Run Club. Some of you all know I ran a marathon or a half marathon. Not at a marathon yet, but I ran my first half marathon last year, or in 2024. Have mercy. And one of the members of the Run Club, I didn't know, but what he was a pastor at the church and he was the one preaching. So I literally met him the day before at Run Club. We were chopping it up, and literally the next day, I got baptized, and he walked up onto the stage to get ready to preach, and I was still getting myself together, getting ready to sit down, and he goes, "Y'all will never believe." I'm giving you the the synopsis, but he was like, "Y'all will never believe, but I actually met Summer yesterday." And I looked up and I was like, "Craig?" Mind you, I met him as Craig. I didn't know he was Pastor Craig at the time, but I'm saying all of this to say that God really pulled through. Like, it just felt like 2024 felt like I was finally walking in the path that God wanted me to. And he was like rewarding me, like, okay, thank you. Finally. All right, let me give you a little nugget to let you know I'm with you and you're finally walking into what I need you to be. I had my goal of running my first half marathon, did that in April. My goodness, running 13 miles. I promise you, I kid you not, 70 to 80% of the run, I was like, why on God's green earth are you doing this? Why are you doing this? But it was also so beautiful. My goodness, like nothing unites New York more than run season, a race. New York loves a good race. But I love it because, and it's something that I'm not calling them my former run club. That's still the fam. And the club, we all fam. One, we run for those that aren't able to run. And two, nothing is discriminatory about running. We are all human beings putting one foot in front of the other. And that really shows on race day, seeing everybody come out, cheer, support, the posters, the signs, the families, the proposals, the baby announcement. Oh my gosh, I love race day. And seeing that I accomplished that goal was just, I can do hard things. I can do hard things. I can train, and I can do hard things. It was amazing crossing that finish line and then just sitting in Prospect Park afterwards and reflecting on what I had just done. And on top of that, some of my amazing friends came into New York or like stopped their day to come and see me. Micah, Hagen, Bree, Sean, Janaya, thank you for coming out. I really appreciate it. It was amazing. So yeah, other things in 2024 happened. Some amazing work trips, amazing work experiences and opportunities. The podcast, you all already know, was invited to attend this podcast conference in DC. That was all God. My goodness, got accepted into this podcast intensive, which catalyzed me going into video. And then also this very crazy sporadic move to Chicago that happened all in 2 weeks. 2024 was, I say 2023 was the year of questions. 2024 was the year of answers for me. It felt like after struggling for so long, I finally was coming to terms or conclusions, answers about a lot of things happening in my life. And that's where 2025, that leads me into 2025, where I feel like it's the year of action. I had my year of questions. I had my year of getting answers, and I'm still getting some, but I want to make sure that I don't let 2023 and 2024 go into vain. Um, and I want to do that by acting in 2025. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what I plan for 2025. A lot of you all listen to um, my my yearly goals, or like my planning methodology for 2024. I'm not going to recap that, but I will link it below. So if you want to listen to that, I think the information is still relevant. And if you want to take that approach, definitely recommend. A couple of my friends said that they found it helpful. So I'll link that below. But in 2025, I want to keep some of those nuances, but take a more actioned and I can't think of the word, but be more intentional with my quarterly and weekly plans. So in 2024, I took the year as a whole and broke it down into months. But from there, I want to take it a step further and say, like, um, this is my plan for the week. And I may nix the monthly goals in and of themselves. I may keep them. I don't know. Haven't decided that, but definitely want quarterly goals and weekly plans and goals. I think being in school, it's a little easier for me to do that. Um, I Some tools that I love using are my Google and Apple calendars. Love color coding my different activities and the things that I need to do. So I want to re-engage or reincorporate that into my life. But I also want to make sure that I am aligning it with all of the different goals and responsibilities that I have, because even just this month of December, I've kind of been a little overwhelmed by everything that's on my plate, but that's not going to change, right? That's not going to change. So I want to make sure that I have my head wrapped around all of the things on my plate so that I can take bite-sized approaches to tackling and managing all of the things. Um, I'm going to keep the same section. So financial goals, health goals, social, spiritual, and personal goals. Um, and again, check out last year's video um, to get a more in-depth understanding of how I am approaching those things. It's not a video, excuse me. I wasn't doing video at the time, so it's an audio only episode, but again, still very useful. And let me know, is it helpful if I repost those? I've seen some creators repost episodes. Let me know if that's helpful. But let's get into a few of my different goals for the year in those different buckets or categories, and then my word for the year and how I plan on like really bringing this home. So financially, Lord have mercy, I took a lot of risk in 2024, and that came with like some financial bites. So I want to work on spending less in 2025, and spending more intentionally. I think in 2024, one of my goals was to ensure that like every dollar that I spent went towards a goal of mine. And I think I did a pretty decent job with that. Um, However, I would love to also start generating more income from my personal projects, i.e., the podcast, so that I can have this run itself. It's very expensive to be a creator and entrepreneur in and of itself. And I'm glad that in 2024, one thing that I did do was formalize Ignite and Inspire as a business. So I wanted to start operating as such as well. Um, so that's one goal. Or it's a word vomit of goals, but you get the gist. Spiritually, and this kind of leads into my word of the year, which I will announce at the end of this episode. But I'm starting the year off with a fast. The goal of the fast is to limit distractions. Not even just eliminate distractions, because I really want this year to be action oriented, action forward. And things like social media, chocolate, LOL, French fries. Um, I let them distract me from what I should be doing. And I noticed that a lot in Q4. So I want to start the year off with the fast with the hopes of some of those practices becoming routine, but also learning how those eliminations reveal more about my purpose, the purpose God has for me, and the career direction that I'll have leading out of this program, this journalism program. Socially, um, continuing to practice communication and boundaries. My former therapist, I told you all, one thing that I took away from her is that I tend to be the main character in movies where I have no business being the main character. And it's not because I like want to bulldoze and be the main character, but it's mainly because I've normalized allowing people to bring me up, bring me into spaces that I have no business being in. And so I just need to set boundaries and say, like, I can hold space for you, but I don't have capacity to do X, Y, and Z. So, just being more communicative about what I can and can't do, um, limiting or being mindful of my social time. This year, I don't see it possible for me to um, engage in some of the activities that I did last year. And I had the same revelation last year about 2023, or yeah, last year about 2023. And so I'm just going to continue that journey of like reshifting and reprioritizing my time. For example, I really want to immerse myself in art and culture in ways that I wasn't always able in a previous capacity. And so in order to do that, I'm going to have to spend some more of my free time doing that. And not all of my friends enjoy those types of things. But in this year of being action oriented, why do I keep combining these words? Action forward, and making sure that I'm progressing in terms of the things that I want for myself. I'm going to have to navigate and manage my time a little differently in that way. And that may mean like hanging out with friends less, or like speaking on the phone with friends less, or removing myself from certain circles or group chats just so that I can focus on what I need to be focused on. So I haven't come to a decision on what that means or what that looks like just yet, but it's definitely top of mind. And I think another thing in the social bucket would be dating. I'm not using this show to talk about my dating life. So sorry, but it is a priority of mine, especially in terms of growing growing personally. I feel like there are some things that you can learn solo, but there's also some things that um, you learn better in partnership. And so, yeah, I want to make being out in the field a little bit more of a priority in 2025. But just also growing my patience with the process, falling in love with the process of dating. Because before it just felt like another thing on the to-do list, and I didn't have the capacity to invest the way that I want to. So, yeah, professionally, networking, and with the hopes of really learning more about the industries and the world that I want to pivot into. I still love marketing and still want to do that in some capacity, but there are other ventures that I want to explore as well. So definitely want to set up some conversations, especially in Q1 and Q2 of 2025, to just learn. Um, I want to apply to jobs so that post grad I'm not broke. Um, and then, of course, with the podcast, developing and continuing to grow this platform. Y'all, moment of silence for the fact that in December, I had 500 downloads. And when I tell you I was geeked for those 500 downloads, why am I at 5,000 downloads? In a year, the show has grown from 500 downloads to 5,000 downloads. And I shouldn't be surprised. I know. I shouldn't be shocked, but I'm so grateful. My goodness. Thank you for listening, for sharing, for making me a part of your routine, for making the show a part of your routine. And um, shout out to you for, again, making inspiration, being intentional about your inspiration journey and your creativity journey and pouring into yourself so that you can be a better person, a better individual. I really want to launch a survey, but my fear is that you all wouldn't do it. So I'm curious to learn how this show has helped you and if this show is helping you and if there's something that you are missing or that you need from this platform. Um, there are other things like starting a website and getting business cards, which sounds archaic, but there's so many people I've met just in this last quarter that I'm like, dang, I wish I had a business card more than just like Blink or Instagram or whatever. So couple of things cooking for the podcast, but those are some of my professional goals. And this will continue to bake, of course. And then personally, my number one goal in 2024 was prioritizing me and prioritizing myself. Now, remember, 2024 was the year of answers. So I feel like I'm just now figuring out what that truly looks like and what that truly means. So 2025 being the year of action, I want to not only put it into practice, but make decisions that will lay the foundation and lay the groundwork for me to have that flexibility and for me to do that. And that means, and for me to comfortably prioritize myself. That is anything from financial foundations, developing my personal and mental confidence to set those boundaries. And a whole slew of other things. But yeah, we're continuing that in 2025, learning to prioritize myself, learning to choose me. And within that, of course, is like, really honing in on my health across the board, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all the things, financially. So yeah, those are a lot of my personal goals. With that being said, I want to go ahead and wrap up today's episode. We're going to do that by sharing my word of the year. So, my word for 2025 is sacrifice. And I went back and forth on this one. Originally, it was going to be something along the lines of generosity and learning to be more generous, practicing generosity in everything that I do. But in the last couple of weeks, God has really been putting on my heart the importance of sacrifice, the importance of um, getting quiet, the purpose of being disciplined and intentional. And with all of that comes sacrifice. I'm not going to be able to move the same way I moved in 2023 or 2024 for that matter. I need to make some adjustments in order to make some of his gifts and blessings worthwhile. And so, with that all being said, Um, that concludes today's episode of Ignite and Inspire. Thank you again so much for listening. Sparking inspiration is something that you have to be intentional about. So give yourself props for the third, fourth, fifth time for tuning in and capturing a bit of inspo. You are more than welcome and encouraged to leave a rating and review. You can rate the show between 1 and 5 stars. If you're listening on your favorite podcasting app, scroll down and leave a rating, leave a review. If you're on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, and go ahead and continue the conversation. I'm eager to know how you're feeling gearing up for 2025, what the vibes are, and maybe what some of your goals are. I may have to steal a goal or two. With that being said, catch you all later and see you all on the next episode. Happy holidays, happy new year, and thank you again for 5,000 downloads. Thank you for tuning into the show. Thank you for supporting the show. If you have listened, donated, whatever it may have you, thank you. And let's turn this inspo thing up a bit in 2025.